Snibbe Interactive creates interactive experiences for science museums that produce powerful emotional responses and create engaging social spaces. People use their whole bodies to immerse themselves in our interactive exhibits, forgetting their everyday concerns, to communicate, learn, and play together. Our interactive experiences are a new medium, as engaging as a movie, yet one in which people remain aware of their bodies and their relationships to others. Our interactive experiences for museums create a wholesome sense of interdependence and joy, promote fundamental social values, and remain fresh and interesting over the course of many years. They form the centerpieces to several of the world's most prominent new science exhibits and public spaces. In 2008, Snibbe Interactive premiered Arctic Ice, an interactive immersive exhibit on global warming. Arctic Ice tells the complicated story of feedback loops in melting Arctic ice that are a major component of climate change. The result is an emotionally engaging interactive story for all ages. On a large projection screen, a mother polar bear and her cub are stranded on different ice floes. Visitors use their bodies' shadows, appearing as small chunks of ice, to reflect incoming solar rays. Blocking the rays lowers the temperature of the Arctic, which in turn helps refreeze the ice floes. When a light ray hits the dark ocean directly, however, the light is absorbed and the temperature rises. Visitors keep track of the temperature by looking at a thermometer. As the temperature lowers, the ice floes grow larger. When enough ice is formed, the baby bear is able to reunite with her mother. This exhibit makes visitors understand a difficult topic of climate change and, more importantly, empowers them to feel that they can make a difference. Snibbe Interactive created Bug Rug, an interactive immersive exhibit on entomology, the science of bugs, and the real methods scientists use in the field. Visitors walk into a floor projection of the Madagascar forest floor. Insects are busy, foraging for food and returning to their hiding places under rocks and plants. When a visitor moves quickly, he scares the insects away. Standing still, the visitor can drop bait at her feet. Visitors guide the bait into traps with their hands and feet and wait for the insects to fall inside. Once an insect is trapped, details about that particular species appear on a wall monitor. In this compelling, full-color interactive social game, visitors learn to have fun while learning the methods of field scientists working in the rainforest. In this case, slow, careful movements are the key to success. In 2008, Snibbe Interactive created Galapagos, a touch-table interactive experience about the colonization of the Galapagos Islands. Every few minutes, the visitors watch a short animation that shows the Galapagos Islands emerging from the ocean as volcanic activity. When the islands have formed, the game begins, and players must match the transportation methods used by different species to solve the mystery of how the Galapagos Islands were populated. In a matching game, players race against the clock to make their selections by clicking on one of 6 buttons representing swimming, flying, floating, rafting, wind, or bird droppings. When a player makes the right choice, a short animation shows that species traveling to the islands. When the player makes an incorrect choice, instead of an animation, they see an X. After 6 rounds, the player or players who correctly match the most wins the game. She sees all of her selections flashing in her beige color, and the game begins again. Notice how the touch table enables a unique social game where 6 people can play at once on a large interactive surface. In cooperation with Think Design, Snibbe Interactive created Our Environment, an entire room of interactivity for one of the 2008 Beijing Olympic sponsors' pavilions. As visitors walk into Our Environment, they're engulfed in an urban oasis. Around the edges of the room, a bamboo forest is interspersed with digital projections of nourishing elements. Onto these elements appear inspiring and thought-provoking statements on the environment and personal responsibility in English and Chinese. A large oval of projected flowers, the global garden, fills the central floor of the room, where visitors' cooperative interactions nourish the flowers into vibrant, thriving, multicolored beds. The flower projections from the floor creep up into the elemental wall projections, connecting visitors' actions with the elements and quotations. When people walk carelessly across the lawn, they trample the grass, revealing dirt below. By slowing down and moving deliberately, flowers spontaneously grow around visitors' feet. When people work together, deliberately and carefully, their flowers intermix in multicolored beds. Growth is nurtured by gentle actions and destroyed by broad, harsh actions. Our environment creates a sense of reverence, stewardship, and caring, reinforcing the necessity of active engagement to tend nature. Instead of directing people's actions, this piece has the power to let them discover their own ability to care creatively and constructively among a group of other visitors. The piece also gently shows the balance of consuming resources with replenishing them and careful stewardship. In 2007, Snibbe Interactive premiered the immersive installation Socialite at the London Science Museum. Socialite is a full-body, immersive, interactive exhibit that imaginatively explores the themes of light, reflection, and refraction while providing an arena for visitors to interact socially through playful, unstructured actions. As groups of visitors approach the large screen, their own shadows appear on the wall as silhouettes. Their shadows manipulate light. Socialite moves through 3 unique episodes. In the first, visitors' bodies imitate glass. Straight light beams refract through people's bodies, which act as lenses bending the light. In the second episode, visitors' bodies act like prisms, splitting the light into a rainbow of colors. In the third episode, one visitor colors other visitors' shadows with a reflected rainbow palette. Next to Socialite is a shadow share kiosk where visitors can browse through recent interactions and then email their chosen video home. The email sends a link where the recipient can retrieve the vignette and explore a large database of saved vignettes that others have produced. The online community engages visitors when they're back home, and they can export the movies to other social network websites such as Facebook and YouTube. The email links also bring new visitors to the museum, excited and curious to try the exhibit and shadow share kiosk. In Snibbe Interactive Shadow Mosaics, visitors can make movies with their own bodies. As people walk in front of a screen, their shadows are invisibly recorded and then play back in one of several geometrically arranged tiles. These exhibits are limited only by people's imagination of what to do next. Shadow mosaics engage visitors for long periods of time, encouraging repeat visits. Shadow mosaics are well suited to exhibits on light, shadow, photography, and the body. They are also popular as lobby, donor recognition, and other high-profile central exhibits. Shadow mosaics can be customized to many different shapes and sizes. The recording surface may be integrated or separated from the projected display. When accompanied by a shadow share kiosk, the exhibit becomes a powerful tool to increase museum attendance via online social networks. The Franklin Institute Science Museum installed 3 of Snibbe Interactive's immersive interactive exhibits for Identity, an exhibition of you. These exhibits personalize the science of identity, encouraging visitors to take a look at themselves from many perspectives. In 3 of Me, 3 time-delayed shadows follow visitors as they enter the exhibition. The 3 shadows have unique textures, introducing visitors to the 3 major themes of the exhibition. In You and We, when a visitor walks through a colored bar on a large raised hexagon, a viscous pool of colored light forms around him. This chosen color remains and follows the visitor around the floor, representing his unique identity. As visitors move closer, each of their circles merge and their colors blend to create one new circle. When people separate, their colors return to their original state. After people separate, a portion of the other person's color remains on the edge of their own circle. The longer each viewer spends with another person, the bigger an imprint they take with them. In Unique Me, participants walk in front of a projection that displays statements about their identity. On the top of the screen, handwritten words appear, such as blonde hair or brown hair. These are physical, social, or psychological identity elements. When a participant touches one of these phrases, her shadow fills up with textures that represent that trait. As visitors touch multiple statements, their silhouettes build up unique identities, giving viewers a chance to distinguish their identities from others. The Air Venture Museum asked Snibbe Interactive to create an immersive installation celebrating the first commercial spaceflight in 2004. The installation demonstrates weightlessness and references the moment when pilot Mike Melville opened a bag of M&Ms in the Spaceship One cabin, releasing the floating candies into zero gravity. When visitors enter the projection resembling the Spaceship One cockpit, one of them is surrounded by a glowing halo, indicating that he or she is the pilot. When the pilot lifts his or her hand, small candies are released into zero gravity. Other visitors can then play with the candies in simulated zero-G. People leave the exhibit with a sense of inspiration that one day they might fly into space themselves. 3 Drops lets visitors explore the radical differences in water's behavior at different scales. When people first approach 3 Drops, they take a virtual shower. Water flows from a shower head with accompanying shower sounds. As people stand in front of the projection, the water splashes, puddles, and flows around them. You can see the delight in people's faces as they shower without getting wet. In the next phase of 3 Drops, single drops of water drip one at a time onto visitors. Here, water is magnified 100-fold. At this scale, the surface tension of water dominates. A drop of water becomes a giant beach ball to catch and throw, and there's no longer any way to get wet. Finally, as the interactive exhibit zooms in further, we see individual water molecules. The sound of a river emphasizes that we are still looking at water. Water molecules clump together in chains and stream across the screen. At the molecular level, gravity is an insignificant force compared to the intermolecular quantum forces. The molecules are attracted to the viewer's shadow, which now represents a positively charged region. Fear is an interactive installation on the science behind feeling scared. The exhibit gives children a fun and educational projected virtual environment in which their own shadows appear in a silhouette jungle environment. In addition to their own shadows, visitors see the shadows of a leopard and a fruit tree whose fruits are constantly dropping. The goal is to collect the fruit without being eaten. If the children move towards the tree when the animal is not looking, their shadows appear in gray. Kids can collect the tree's fruit, which they can hold in their silhouette arms and hands. When the leopard turns to look at visitors, their shadows appear in outline, showing that the leopard can't see that person because they are standing still. When someone starts to move while the leopard is watching, his or her shadow turns pink, then red, to show that the leopard has seen them. They better stop right away, or else the leopard pounces and attacks them, eliciting squeals of mock fear and delight, and demonstrating the freeze or flee response in graphic form. Snibbe worked with Ansel and Associates and architect Zaha Hadid to place his interactive installation Boundary Functions in the Phano Science Center in Wolfsburg, Germany. As people walk around a large floor, the interactive exhibit draws lines between them. These lines show each person's personal space, the space closer to them than to anyone else. As more and more people walk onto this floor, these spaces form tiles that continue to change dynamically. These tiles relate to phenomena of nature at every scale, from bubbles to the gravitational influence of stars to human and animal settlement patterns. When people touch, the line between between them momentarily disappears, allowing them to connect without borders. Boundary Functions uniquely explores the physical sciences as it echoes the patterns of bubbles and cells and the social sciences, revealing that our personal space, though we call it our own, only exists in relation to others and changes without our control. Snibbe designed the permanent installation "Women Hold Up Half the Sky" for the lobby of a new life science building at Mills College in Oakland, California. The interactive exhibit celebrates the significant contributions of women in science from ancient to modern times. The installation is composed of two separate parts. On two large projections, computer-generated animations recapitulate the history of women in science, commencing with Hypatia, an Egyptian mathematician, astronomer, and physicist born in the 4th century. The installation presents stylized views of the women at work in their laboratories, montages of the women's discoveries, and text elaborating their experiences. A new scientist appears each month, moving through the Middle Ages to the contemporary era over the course of the school year, and featuring prominent scientists such as Marie Curie and Barbara McClintock. In this way, the work recapitulates the history of women in science as the year advances. The young women of Mills College see their course content reflected in the walls of their school. In addition to highlighting some of the most well-known women of science, Snibbe's piece offers a glimpse into the professional lives of some of the school's very own pioneers. On separate monitors at ground level, Mills alumni currently engaged in scientific pursuits are showcased, further providing the students, faculty, staff, and visitors with both education and inspiration. You Are Here uses 6 overhead security cameras to track the movements of people, here shown in the new Connections Gallery of the New York Hall of Science for an exhibition on networks. People's movements are anonymously combined into a composite where the incredible dynamics of their movements through space comes alive. Paths form a vibrant map of how humans relate to each other and to the museum itself. The work answers children's basic questions such as who has been here before me, and how many people have visited here. The exhibit creates a benevolent use of surveillance technologies that encourages visitors to contemplate the vibrant, invisible life of space around them. Near is another exhibit that deals with the theme of networks and social relationships. On a large floor, kids can walk, run, roll, and play. Near draws lines between them that show who is closer to whom. Such diagrams are used by phone companies, cable companies, and airlines to determine how to build networks. Near makes abstract, invisible knowledge visible, tangible, and fun. Kids easily relate their experience to networks of friends and family. Working with San Francisco's Exploratorium, Snibbe created Cab Spotting, which traces the movements of cabs through the San Francisco Bay Area. A central database at the Exploratorium gathers the cab information from San Francisco's Yellow Cab Company. On the Cab Spotting webpage, visitors see live cabs taking passengers right now around the Bay Area. Underneath the Yellow Cab traces is a composite image of all the cab's movements in the last 4 hours. The diagram forms an alternate map of the bay, composed only of the traces of cabs, a view where the most used streets are the brightest. A series of time-lapse videos show that cabs' movements form a circulatory system of the city, entering in the morning, leaving in the evening, pulsing with the rhythm of people's lives. In Concentration, a halo of light surrounds the first person to enter its screen. As other people enter the space, they only become illuminated when they touch that first glowing person or their shadow, in an analogy to electrical conductance. The exhibit becomes a wonderful game where people try to steal the light energy from one another. Taking the energy is only possible by digging deep into another person's shadow to steal the light from their core and attach it to their own body. Each of Snibbe Interactive's pieces has a unique and powerfully different way of affecting people's social relationships. In Concentration, there is an individually focused game with a minor struggle, while in other exhibits, we see cooperation, creation, dialogue, play, absorption, or thoughtfulness. In Snibbe Interactive's Compliant, people interact with a soft projected rectangle of light that deforms in response to their movements like a soft rubber sheet. People engage in pairs to dance with each other through the rectangle's form. Snibbe Interactive's interactive exhibits let viewers use their whole bodies to create abundant enthusiasm, to learn through unstructured play, and even to make new friends. This new medium can do what no others can, to dynamically interact with phenomena too small, too large, too fast, too slow, or even the abstract and invisible. With these interactive installations, learning becomes dynamic, fun, and social.